Apple might, I don't know where this came from, it's sort of an out of the blue rumor, but Apple might only release the Pro iPhones in 2026.
Yes.
And then stagger the regular iPhones to be released months later.
Yeah.
I don't know
the information.
I don't understand this one. I don't understand why they would do that, because typically the standard iPhones use the same chip as the previous year's iPhones.
Right.
So they would be even older and more out of date. Do you find any merit in
I think
this?
maybe they would get rid of that fact and they would start using the good chips again, but just not the Pro version and the regular version instead. Okay. Because like the Pro phone, the big Pro phone, the most expensive one in the United States is always the one that sells the most.
In the
right?
US,
In the
yes.
United States.
It is.
So it kind of makes sense. I mean, they're planning on releasing 2 new iPhone models in the next 2 years. So at this point, we're going to have the Air and we're also going to have a Fold.
Can we make an example of how this would play out in 2026?
Yes.
So
Okay, so last year we had, in 2024, the iPhone was the 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max. Mm-hmm. Then we got the 16e at the beginning of 2025. Mm-hmm. So now the end of 2025 would still be...
This is normal, besides the Air that comes out this year. So this is starting next year.
17 Pro, 17 Plus, 17
Air. Yeah.
Great. So then in 2026, we would get the iPhone 18 Pro and 18 Pro Max, and those are the premium iPhones. And then
Some of them.
6 months later, we would get the iPhone 18 Air, 18, and 18 Plus.
No.
No?
No. So the report says that in fall of 2026, we get the Pro, the foldable, which is the hot dog style,
Okay.
right? And then you also get the Air.
Okay.
And then it's 6 months later that you're going to get the regular models and the E.
So the regular gets pushed to E launch, which is usually like Q2-ish
Yeah.
of the following year.
Yeah.
So
And
kind of like the A series in Pixel.
right. So I'm not totally sure how they're doing this chip-wise, whether or not they're just going to give all the iPhones the good chip again, except not the Pro version, so like one less GPU core. But it does kind of make sense to release all the Pro versions at the same time because those are the most hot-selling ones anyway. Mm-hmm. And if you have 3 kind of Pro-ish iPhones, it depends on if you consider the Air a Pro phone.
Air.
The Air is at least the one
premium
that
in
a lot
some
of people
way.
want to buy. Yeah, it's
Sure.
premium. So
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So I think this makes a lot of sense, but it is interesting to think of the regular iPhone getting kind of delegated towards the more budget side of the world, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I mean, I never had a problem with all the iPhones coming out at the same time, but I also would find it interesting to have different release cycles than we usually do. Mm-hmm. There's also a little more information about the foldable from the information article. They say it would potentially have a 5.7-inch screen while closed and a just under 8-inch screen while open. And Ming Chi Kuo has previously suggested it would be around 4.5 to 4.8 millimeters thick open.
Yeah.
And use Face ID instead of Touch ID.
Yeah.
As a tech review channel, music to my ears.
Yeah, as a content creator, that's just
You mean
more...
we don't have
3
3
videos.
weeks to do 4 iPhone videos about 4 iPhones?
5
No.
iPhones.
You still, because if the Air comes out,
Yeah.
then there still is.
There's still 3 iPhones.
There's still 3 levels. Actually, there's more.
I know, but we'll
levels
get
of it.
6 months.
No. The Fold, the Pro, and the Air come out at the same time.
Okay.
Which actually means, because normally we just get Pro models and regular models, so we get 3 then.
And that's basically 3 reviews.
Yeah, that's 3 reviews.
I take
And
it
then
back.
6 months later, we get, instead of just the E, we have the regular and the E. It's actually 2 separate times. That's almost twice as much work.
I take it back. Apple, what have you done?
Okay, but considering our Waveform iPhone episodes usually do pretty well,
No, people... yeah.
I'll
it's
take
more,
an extra.
It's more new hardware to talk about, which is interesting.
Can
it's
I
more...
tell you guys something about that?
Go for it.
We had our monthly meeting the other day, and I put all the stats into AI and said, hey, give me some recommendations as to what we should do.
Did it tell you to eat rocks?
It literally told me to just talk about iPhones. It was like, it seems like the iPhone episodes do great.
this
You guys
is-
should focus more on iPhones.
This is the fact. If you are a tech channel on YouTube and looking to start out, the lowest common denominator, like the easiest way to get the most views the fastest, is to just talk about Apple all the time.
Dang.
Because people, especially in English-speaking countries, talk about Apple a lot, care about Apple a lot, click on Apple a lot. It's the same as I want to do a car video. What company am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
Here-
Obviously, Tesla.
I want to make that clear, though, that the reason it gets views is because people are interested in it.
Exactly.
Like, I also think an interesting point to that is like, I think people who dislike Apple will hate watch things where Apple fans don't really give a damn about other stuff and don't hate watch other things.
Yeah, I think that's a real dynamic. You're saying if you hate, you're saying there's more people who hate Apple and actively watch Apple videos to hate rather than the other way around.
Well, we were just talking about this with something else the other day. I think it was with Tesla.
Yeah, it was with Tesla. We actually, the similar analytics note where if you are a car channel and you are looking at your analytics and you've noticed, wow, everything that I do with Tesla in the title seems to do like way more numbers, you'll notice that people don't look at EVs as Tesla alternatives and watch those more. Instead, they hate watch the Tesla video and then leave.
Are we sure that that's not just like the vocal minority though?
Well,
and there's actually a majority of people who are interested in the car that watch it. But
I think that's also, I think it's both.
Same with Apple, right?
Yeah, I think part of it is like, and why I wanted to say that was there. It's so easy to say X person just does this for views, but like those views means it's people interested in that video, which means there are just people interested. Like that's, you can still be interested. Like views has such this negative connotation in YouTube, which doesn't always translate as only doing it for like money or whatever. But I also think there are, because it's also easier to do that in both of these senses, Tesla and Apple. It's easier to point at one thing where if you're on the other side, the Tesla side or the Apple side, you're not going to go to every Google, Samsung, Huawei, OnePlus, like all of them, or you're on Tesla, not going to be going to every Chevy, Toyota video and like be mean.
Yeah, it's also a reason why I think people like me use the most well-followed companies' products as like reference points for other things. So sometimes people talk about like, wow, you always seem to talk about Apple or you always seem to reference an Apple product, when a lot of times that's just the thing that most people watching are already familiar with, and it's giving context for other things. So if I can tell you that a phone looks a certain, maybe a photo from the camera looks a certain way compared to the iPhone, when you've already seen a lot of iPhone photos, it helps you understand that. Yeah. Or if I talk about specs, similar stuff. Yeah. So it's just that big pillar in the middle of the stuff happening in this world. Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for listening to this episode. We hope it satisfied your prompt. Let us know if you want to have another discussion and just put in another prompt and we'll make another podcast about it. The prompt section is down there. It's disguised as a comment section, but it's just a prompt for the next LLM podcast. Catch you guys next week. Peace.